Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the FN Story. We got the Comp Awards going on right now, so make sure to go check out Comp Awards FN. But we got to talk about our guest joining us today. Tax, what's going on, dude?
How you doing? How you doing? Excited to be here.
Nice, awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to be here as well. It's a nice day. Always love chatting with people, learning new stuff. If you were to introduce yourself as like what you do within the Fortnite space to someone, what would kind of be a description of what you do?
Typically when somebody asks me like what I do, what I am, I like to be humble. I don't want to come off as some, egotistical guy or whatever, but I just say like I'm a content creator pretty much, but if we're talking realistically, I guess I'm considered a zero build pro. I know a lot of people don't throw that term around, but yeah, that's pretty much what I do.
Okay, cool. Um, the Zero Build Pro piece. Do you think that's even a thing? As someone that would like consider themselves a Zero Build Pro, or you just said you were? Do you
Uh,
think?
um, I feel like right now it's not a major thing. Like I don't really say it often, but a lot of people refer to me as it, so that's the only reason why I sometimes say it. But I feel like Zero Build Pro really isn't a thing until we have more bigger Zero Build events going on, like a FNCS or maybe a Winter Royale type of event or something like that.
Okay, I can see that. Um, just to let you know, I am a Zero Build hater. Not like I don't hate the game mode itself. I just would never actually want it to be like the main game mode. I'm
Oh yeah,
completely
no, I
fine.
agree, I agree.
Yeah, like I feel like most people are that way, and it's cool every once in a while to have like a fun tournament, especially like the creator tournaments and things like that. But historically, I've not been a huge fan, and I'm nervous one day that we will have an FNCS that's just zero builds and it's gone. But do you think that's ever gonna actually happen?
Well, if they do decide to do Zero Build FNCS, I wouldn't want them to just make it only Zero Build FNCS. I'd rather have like them do maybe a month where it's builds FNCS and then another month where it's zero builds FNCS, and you could just choose whichever one you want to participate in.
Okay, yeah, that's not a bad idea. Just kind of have a little bit of both.
Yeah.
All right. And so as far as like there was a lot of controversy with like Pilkey winning a bunch of tournaments. I'm sure you could be kind of thrown into that
Yeah.
group of people as well that I mean what people are saying is you guys are farming these content creator tournaments as like zero build pros, but you don't reach the like FNCS requirements. So, from someone that's on the other side of it, because my opinion, I'll let you know what I think before you go into it, but like it's kind of hilarious to me because there's this whole you can't be that good in order to be able to play in the
Yeah.
tournament, but then you also can't be that bad to actually get an invite. It's like this weird middle ground that people are looking for.
Yeah.
And I think the most frustrating part from like the community, I guess, or the organizers, is when there's someone that really should be considered like a professional that gets thrown as a content creator, but like
Yeah.
obviously you don't want to take money out of your pocket with all these tournaments, but where do you see all that and how do you feel that should be properly dealt with?
Well, when it comes to those events, it's for someone like me, even it does get frustrating to a certain point because, you have teams that are just like, you could technically consider all of them pros, but because, Zero Builds is still more fresh, they're not pros at the same time. So, like, I feel like personally, what these tournaments, whoever's hosting them should do is you should base it more off of earnings, in my opinion. I understand like they're content creator cups and they're not as hard as an FNCS, but if you're someone who is consistently like if you have around over 30K earnings, but you're a zero build player, that basically means you're winning most of the events that are content creator cups. So you should technically be considered as a closer to a pro, in my opinion. Like if I was in these content creator cups, I would much rather have people like me, Pilkey, be considered as pros because it would make the teams a lot more balanced. instead of having Pilkey, Queasy, and easiness and all these guys on one team. It's just those kind of teams are insane, but you know, it's hard for these organizers to see what's a content creator and what's a pro. So I'm not mad at the people who's organizing the tournaments, but I feel like they should definitely figure out a way to balance it more.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely can't hate on the organizers because they're just
Yeah,
putting it
no,
together, and then it's like you guys have made this, not you specifically, but like
yeah, yeah,
this is the Zero Build Pro people have made this so difficult to like define that line of where it is, and you really like even earnings. I don't know is a great thing because you could just jump in one random Tifu Tuesday tournament, win like 20K, and then boom,
yeah,
there's a ton of money that you got coming in your pocket. Or you played in Gamers 8, like that is absurd amounts of money. Granted, that I would actually see as like a high level zero build tournament versus like a
yeah, no,
content creator tournament. I don't know. Nonetheless, I was just curious from someone like yourself what your thoughts on all that were, and I think that makes sense. Most people are like that, and the unfortunate part though is you have to really follow the space in order to know this because it's not like
yeah,
there's any website or tracker to go see like how much money you're earning from all these random third party tournaments. You would
yeah,
just have to go somehow find all of them and then like tally it up and manually do it. So I don't envy the people that have to have to figure all that
yeah,
out.
yeah. No, I don't blame them at all.
So you went to Gamers 8. You qualified through one of the dream hacks, right?
Yeah, San Diego.
Okay, so the very first one. Nice.
Yep.
Who's your teammate? Talk to me about going to DreamHack. Like, what were your expectations going into that?
So I played with Moo. He's qualified multiple FNCS Grand Finals. I think maybe 4 or 5. Um, and we played multiple squads, zero build cash cups, and plays very well in them. So I was very confident going in. I Going into the finals of San Diego, I felt this like confidence. I felt a feeling of, I don't know how to explain it exactly, but I pretty much was just very sure that we were qualifying somehow. I don't know what exactly gave me that feeling, but I had a feeling that I was just like, yeah, we're calling. Like we're doing this. So, you know, traveling across the country, because I live in New York, so I had to travel all the way to San Diego.
Okay.
Um, it's a lot, and it's tough to bring a bunch of equipment and all that stuff. But I didn't even play on a 240 hertz monitor in that tournament. I played on I think we both played on 165 hertz, so it's not that big of a disadvantage. But if you're heavy into the specs and all that stuff, it's a slighter disadvantage compared to 240. But we ended up pulling it off, and it was the best feeling ever.
Nice. And so you obviously qualified right away, and now there's this like $1 million tournament coming up. Is it million or 2 million?
I think it was 2 million.
Okay, 2 million. Yeah, that sounds about right. Anyway, it was a really big prize pool tournament, the biggest prize pool we've ever seen for any kind of zero build tournament. And I want to say it's like top three for any kind of Fortnite tournament. Well, four if you include. Yeah. Okay. It was like top three, two World Cups, and then FNCS this year. And last year maybe beat it. Anyway, it's not important. A lot of money thrown at it. Did
Yeah.
you kind of feel any nerves? Had you traveled much outside of the country before going to Saudi Arabia to compete? Like, how did that experience feel for you? Kind of being the first time going, I would imagine your first time going to Saudi Arabia.
So before Saudi Arabia, I've never been to that side of the world. Never went to like Europe. Never went anywhere close to Saudi Arabia. The only places I've been to outside of the United States were like, in the Caribbean, in that type of area. But the flight was like 12, 13, 14 hours. So it was a surreal experience. I don't remember being nervous. If anything, I was more nervous on the first day compared to the other 2 days, but it was more just confidence. the it was a 5-star hotel, so I decided to just take advantage of everything that was there. You know, relaxing, training my mind every day. I just got my mind right, and when it came down to the game days, we just popped off.
Yeah, you finished 8th. That's a solid performance in that caliber of lobby. I mean, anyone if you told me you finished top 10 in any kind of big tournament like that, I think that's impressive, especially because there's a huge chance that nerves or something can get to you, and your confidence from what you said kind of stood out, and that was helpful to you. Playing with someone like Moo, was he someone that shared similar confidence? What would you guys talk about like leading up to it? Because I can imagine I would have had many conversations before I'm going to compete for 2 million bucks.
Yeah, well, before we get into that, I do want to say we were actually in 6th place before the last game, and we ended up dropping to 8th because when you're in a tournament like that with such a big prize pool and you're not competing well, a lot of the guys want to try to drop a big kill game. Um, they want to get a lot of eliminations. They want to catch up in points. They want to finish strong. So for some reason in my mind, I like I completely forgot that that's what happens every last game of like a major tournament. Everybody just W keys.
Yeah.
So I it slipped off my mind, and we ended up getting W keyed like really early by so many good teams, and we ended up dropping to 8th place. But I just wanted to mention that because not a lot of people know that we were actually in 6th place going into the last game, and we ended up dropping to 8th.
So
But
on that, are you the IGL between you and Moo?
yeah, so we're since it's duos, you can kind of co IGL,
Hmm.
but since I'm more of a zero build player than Moo, he likes to give me the final call. And I do want to say he did point it out that that was gonna happen. He pointed out, he was like, "We should probably hide. Like it's gonna get crazy." And I recognized it, and I understood what he said, but I think I caught on to it too late, and yeah, we ended up getting punished for it. But typically, we both co IGL, and I get the final call.
Damn, that stinks. You could tell it still bugs you
Yeah,
when like
yeah.
it comes
I
up.
mean,
That's the first thing you mention.
we missed out on probably like that play probably costed us 25K.
And it is what
Yeah.
it is. I mean, I'm not saying that I wouldn't like still have that in the back of my mind because that's a lot of money to be losing out on like a mistake,
Yeah.
and kicking yourself is something I would probably do as well. But bro, just let it go. Like it's over.
Yeah, no, I've gotten over it. It happens. I still like to smile and be proud of placing 8th at a basically a global tournament. So
Yeah. Did
yeah,
you travel to any of the other dream hacks before that?
um
Because it
yes, I actually went to Dallas of
okay,
2022, which was builds. It was solo builds.
gotcha. Did you play builds before?
Oh yeah, of course. I I obviously wasn't like a major pro or anything, but I've when there was DreamHack online tournaments, I qualified for maybe 3 of them,
Okay.
and then I made the DreamHack Dallas finals in 2022.
So there's like you were pretty good at the game before Zero Build came
Yeah,
out, and
like I
then
wasn't tier 1 pro or anything, but I was good enough at builds.
gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, to me, Zero Build is more just like understanding fundamentals of Fortnite. And if you can
Yeah.
understand like proper rotations, poor positioning, how to make sure like you're rotating in an area that's not going to put you in a huge disadvantage, and then just understanding where all the teams are coming from, like that's one of the keys, I think, from what I've seen in Zero Builds, is more the mind than the actual
Yeah.
like gun skill, because at that phase everyone's out in the open, you can't really build to protect yourself, so the mechanics aren't as important. um
Yeah.
but I would love to kind of understand your positioning as far as like the transition from builds and then being successful at Zero Builds. Like, what are the keys that have led you to be successful? Not necessarily just what I think, but what are the keys that continue to allow you to earn in this game?
Well, switching from builds to zero builds for me was I made the switch personally for content. Um, I switched when it first came out because my thinking or my thought process was, I knew Zero Builds was gonna kind of be a good thing for Fortnite. So I was like, if I'm gonna be the first one on it, then I could be like, one of the bigger names in it. But to answer your question, I think the major thing for Zero Builds is definitely uh your game plan. It's just all like mental, in my opinion. You don't really need to have the best aim, the best mechanics. It's mostly just how are you gonna rotate? What's the best loot to carry? And like that's pretty much it, honestly. It's just all mental. It's just a mental game. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. Literally just all mental.
Fair enough. I mean, it's not crazy to think about because it's literally just like as long as you have good aim and you put yourself in the right
Yeah,
spots, you're not taking dumb peeks and your teammate isn't throwing for you, then you should be all right. Granted, winning
yeah.
the game is way harder, and a lot of money now is pretty much just the zero build victory cash cups because are there any tournaments announced right now for zero builds besides the victory cash cups?
Well, they actually just added zero build duo console cash cups,
Okay.
but besides that, there's really not anything.
Do you have a console you're gonna be jumping on?
Yeah, I got my PS5.
Nice. So I
Gotta
could see.
gotta take advantage of all zero build events. Anything honestly.
Yeah, I can see you perk up, smile. You're like, oh hell yeah, there's more money for me to win now. Who are you currently playing with? Like, what's the duo looking like?
I don't have anyone. I
Uh
mean,
oh.
I don't. For me, I don't like to have a set duo if it's like a victory cash cup or anything like that because to me those are more for fun in my opinion. If it's not like a dream hack or a gamers 8, I'm not gonna spend too much time focusing on how to win these games because to be honest, zero build isn't that big still right now. So I'm just prioritizing my content right now, and you know, I'm sure there's gonna be another Gamers 8. They've already announced it. Hopefully there's Fortnite there. Hopefully there's zero builds and builds, so I can get a chance again. But for right now, just focusing on my content, and I just like to play with anyone.
Nice. I can respect that. I mean, it's not crazy amounts of money, and I'm
Yeah,
sure like content long term is a way bigger investment than it is like to win $75 after tax to play a couple of games. So that makes a ton of sense. Is there someone that's stands out as like, hey, this is one of the best players I've ever played with, and this is a person I would go to if a big tournament got announced?
definitely Moo. I mean, Moo's probably the best zero build player I've played with, even though he's a builds main, which is funny. But I feel like I played with other zero build players. I've played with like Fluger and Opt and all these other guys.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, it comes down to chemistry. Who are you working the best with? Are you guys, are you sticking together? Are you listening to comms? Like, I feel like when me and Move play, we're both equally as aggressive. We equally think the same. I don't know. We just click. We literally just click together. So I feel like if there's another Gamers Day or any major tournaments, I'm definitely gonna run it back with Moo.
Yeah, I think that's a huge point of both builds and zero builds. It's like understanding someone's play style because you
Yeah.
can't always communicate what you want to do. Sometimes it just has to be a little feel for it. And if you have a teammate that plays like at the right speed as you, then it's perfect. So that's cool here. Hopefully you guys do get a running back, and I would love it if it was both zero builds and builds next year, like
Yeah.
a side by side dream hack track into Gamers 8, or I think they're calling it the Esports World Cup right now. That would be pretty cool. Um, but you've also referenced like several times your content. What is like your focus for content? Because some people do YouTube, some people focus streaming, other people have short form. Like, what is the tax style of content that you like putting out?
So I get a lot of comparisons to Zemi.
Okay.
So if you're familiar with his content, that's kind of like the same way I do my content. I pretty much just play zero builds. Um, and I make a lot of short form content on TikTok. You know, like gameplay clips, whether it's like solo squads or crazy snipes. You know, basically anything that involves good aiming and um clutches, like stuff like that. But I definitely want to start getting more into the long form content. You know, YouTube, because I feel like YouTube's definitely a the best place to be right now. Like I feel like that's the ultimate goal of where you want to get their content elevated. Definitely YouTube for me. But right now I'm just doing I stream every day and I post every day on TikTok, whether it's one, two, three clips, however many clips I would feel like posting. And and I also stream on TikTok as well.
Okay, so you co-stream on Twitch and TikTok, or
Yeah.
those? Okay, so you got to give me the juice. Like, are you one of those guys making thousands of dollars on TikTok every day?
Not every day,
Oh shit!
you know, but I'm gonna get there. I feel like TikTok is I don't have it all figured out, but I don't know. It's like a weird relationship with TikTok for me. I feel like some days, I'll have multiple videos in a row, like blow up, hundreds of thousands, millions of views. Like last week, I think I maybe had 4 million views in like a few days.
Jeez.
So, and then this week, it's not doing so well. Like since the new chapter started, my TikToks haven't been doing too well, but my TikTok streams are still doing well. So, it's weird. I don't know how to explain it. I don't understand it fully, but I think if I had to give someone tips on what to do for TikTok, I feel like posting multiple times a day is probably the best way to do it because, I look at it as the more content you're putting out, the more people are going to see it. If I post 3 times a day, I have a higher chance of one of those videos blowing up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if I have one of those three blow up every single day, it just accumulates and obviously you just keep on growing. You promote your Twitch, you promote your YouTube, goes up here, and whoever is loving your content is gonna go check it out. So that's that's my strategy for anybody who's sitting coming up. But yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
Okay, cool. And as far as like the content on TikTok, are you highly editing stuff? Is it more just captions along with gameplay? Like what is the style that you found to be best for you?
Right now, the style. Well, I've been doing more of, like I said earlier, just regular clips, like just a 1v4, 1v2, crazy aiming clips. But I've noticed for a lot of other people, those type of entertaining, like commentary, educational videos do really well. So if you're like, I don't know, if you want to do update videos like on a new Fortnite update, I feel like that's really good content. That's something I definitely want to get more into. Whether it's like, guys, the new Lego updates here, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that type of stuff definitely does blow up. But for someone like me, since I'm more of like a sweat, like people call me, I like to capitalize on that and post more gameplay clips than the usual content creator stuff on TikTok.
Okay, that makes sense. And I mean, everyone has their own style, right? And that's
Yeah,
probably why people come to you and watch your content, because they know like this guy's gonna show me something crazy every time I see it
yeah,
on
literally,
TikTok. And that's a nice little regular piece to have. It's always interesting to see because there's also guys like Bronos and Foxman are the two that come to mind recently that
yeah.
have seemed to just like absolutely blow up. NPen recently just
Oh, and Penn's going insane right now.
yeah, it's like how are you doing this? But it's also those are people that have been creating content for very long periods of time, and then finally the like efforts have paid off to come together, and then that's when you get your blow up. But is that something you've thought of? Is it kind of a slow and steady grind? Obviously everyone's kind of hoping for the blow up, but
Yeah.
uh like is
Um.
that a goal of yours?
Yeah. No, I definitely want to get that blow up. Another person that comes to mind is Jivy. I don't
Oh
know if you've
yeah.
seen his TikTok, but I feel like once you start getting that spark on TikTok, you just need to you have to like go even harder. You have to do even more because as soon as you get that spark, as soon as you start getting those couple of videos, those streams that are getting so much views, so much attraction, you just have to keep going. You have to keep popping up on their feed. They're gonna keep seeing you. The more they see you, the more they want to watch, the more they want to engage, the more they want to hit that follow button if they're not already following. So yeah, no, people like Foxman, Bronos especially. Bronos is just a genius when it comes to his TikTok content. But yeah, people like that, they're killing it. It's always gonna be a slow and steady grind at first, but I know as soon as I get that spark, I'm just gonna go ham and not stop.
Yeah, well, you seem like you're doing the right stuff, talking about posting multiple days, going live every day. So it's just like a matter of when,
Yeah.
and your content will slowly improve over time because just naturally doing it, you'll get better at making the content. How long have you kind of been in the space and making content, doing stuff around Fortnite? Like, when did you start getting involved in Fortnite, and like when did your journey as a content creator begin?
I've I got into Fortnite as soon as it started, like September 2017, around there. One of my family members was like, "You should play Fortnite." I was like, "Okay, I'll try it." The first time I first played it, wasn't a huge fan, obviously, because it was a different type of game. You know, not very used to it. Tried it again a couple days later, instantly hooked. Just such an amazing game. But yeah, from 2017 to March of 2020, I didn't grind any content at all. I just watched people. I wanted to be a pro player. Never had a PC, so couldn't really do it. Um, but then I finally convinced my parents to buy me a PC. You know, I was just like, please. I was like, please, I'll make money. Like I'll make money. You know, they didn't really understand what I was saying, but like it ended up working out. Um, and then yeah, 2020 around April, I happened to meet two big creators on Fortnite. You know, Phase Replays and Complexity Thieves, and they just told me to start streaming one day, and I was like, all right, I'll do it. Fell in love with it, and ever since then, I just kept going.
So that's what, 2, 3 years now?
3.5 years, over
Okay.
3.5 years, almost 4 years.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
impressive. Um,
yeah, yeah. But I feel like I didn't actually like get into the content heavily until I think July of 2022. Like I was streaming every day, but I wasn't posting like TikToks a lot. I was just streaming and having fun. And I feel like around that time of July last summer 2022, I I hit like a moment where I realized I was around a lot of big creators and I was friends with all these people and I feel like I had an opportunity in front of me. Like at the time when I first started I was 18 and last summer I was 20 years old. So I feel like it just took maturity for me to realize what was in front of me. And then I just ever since last summer I haven't stopped.
and how old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 21.
Oh, okay.
I turned 21 last month.
Nice. Happy birthday.
Yeah, thanks.
Um, it does take some time. I think you have to, one, realize you want to do it, because I
Yeah.
think at first everyone's like, "Oh, streaming's awesome," and then streaming isn't
Yeah.
always awesome, right? There's just days where it's not, and it takes some time to realize, one, how to be good at streaming versus there's certain people that can just be really good at video games and that's all they have to do in order to stream, but that's like the very small minority. Otherwise, like, you're entertaining an audience, like you are doing something while on stream more than just playing video games. And I do think Fortnite is probably one of the easier games to stream, just because there's like those natural down times where you can talk to chat, you can relax. It's not necessarily like constant paced. um
Yeah.
like a MOBA, I feel like you have to constantly do something. You're always thinking about like, what item am I buying next? What's going on in this lane and all that stuff. Maybe that's just me. Maybe over time you'll get better at it. You don't have to think about it. But that's that's an interesting journey. And so replays and thieves kind of gave you a little kick in the butt, be like, dude, get going, start
Yeah.
this. What's like a goal for you as a streamer? and a content creator, have you set goals for yourself? Is that something that you like to do?
I do set goals here and there, but I also look at goals as like a limitation in a way because I feel like if I set a goal for myself and I put too much pressure on myself to hit that goal and I don't hit it in time, I feel like I'm gonna kind of be disappointed in myself. So I like to just go with the flow and the one goal that I actually have for myself is just be proud, literally, just to be proud of myself. Know that I'm doing enough. Know that I'm doing more than enough. You know, I just want to satisfy myself and feel like I'm doing whatever it takes to get to wherever it is I want to be. But um, I'd say the only goal that I have besides making myself proud is to just be one of the biggest Fortnite streamers. Really, um, doesn't necessarily have to be number one, number two, number three, number four, but you know, I want to be up there at the top. So
Yeah.
yeah, those that's the only really thing I'm looking for right now.
Nice. Do you see that happening? Like, or actually, when do you see that happening? That's a shitty question.
I see that happening. I think I'll get there. It's just a matter of time. That's the way I look at it.
Okay. And then just to dive back into Fortnite a little bit, what are your thoughts on the new season? I've played it a lot. I kind of like it. The OG season was not for me, but you know where
Really?
dude, it was cool for a little bit, but then it's like the map is not that good. You know, like everyone talks about how the OG map was awesome and all that stuff. Like it's just not really a good map to actually play the current level of Fortnite. It was
Yeah.
perfect at the time because people weren't that good, but with all the peaks and valleys, like there's just so many terrible positions in that. Um,
Yeah, no, that's understandable. I enjoyed it personally. Fortnite OG was really fun for me. Competitive wise, awful, but like as a content creator, it was a blast. But I'm really enjoying this chapter. I mean, obviously the movement was a big problem for a lot of people.
mhm.
It's definitely a problem for builds, or at least it was. I know they updated the movement now, um, but I love it. I didn't think I was gonna be a huge fan of the attachments and all that stuff, but I gotta be honest, I love them. I love the attachments. I love the new movement. You know, especially for zero builds, the movement's amazing. Um, I'm a huge fan. I've even played a little bit of builds. I'm enjoying builds as well.
Okay.
Overall, I think it's really good. I if I had to rate it out of 10, I'd probably give it around like an 8.
Yeah,
8 out of 10.
I'm probably about there. I think the map itself was really well made. Like, I think the balance in it is solid. And there's a lot of like not named POIs that players can land at, which I always love, is give people enough space to land at, especially when I'm always thinking of FNCS, like where is enough loot for a duo, and do we have enough loot on the map? I don't know the answers to those questions yet, but I think they've done a good job. And then also, I was hesitant at first with all the weapon mods and attachments and things like that. Like, god damn it, I can't do more. Like Fortnite is complicated enough. I don't need to be worrying about, does this have a laser on it? Is there a barrel? Like, what scope do I have? And then you start to play and you're like, oh, actually, I can kind of even more craft my inventory to what I
Yeah.
want and make it that much better for me. So I really do like that aspect of it. It does make even more of a learning curve and more to think about when you're playing Fortnite because, I mean, sure, we need more things to have to think about, but I like the addition. And the one thing that I'm really interested to see is like the hurdling, where you can like hurdle in windows or over little walls and
Yeah.
stuff. That'll be a nice, interesting layer into competitive. And there was a zero build tournament over the weekend, right? If I'm not mistaken.
There was one yesterday and I think 3 days ago.
Okay, that sounds about right because they line up with the solo cashies.
Yeah.
Um, did you see that movement? Did you try and use it at all and make any plays or anything like that with the hurdles?
Not I haven't really used it to make any plays, but it's definitely used like off spawn when you're like looting and stuff. You need to rotate around your POIs, whatever POI you're in. Um, I don't think I'm not sure if there's a lot you can hurdle over, so I'm not sure if it's gonna be like a big thing
Hmm.
in like when you're fighting or anything like that. But it's definitely used more often in off spawn fights than like in the end game.
Yeah, you can tell they made the map for that new ability because I feel like every POI has those windows now that
Yeah,
you could
like
just
those little
jump.
tiny windows. Yeah,
Yeah. And I'm like, oh man, this is so annoying because you never know. One, you're never safe in a building anymore, I feel like. And it makes me like anxious off spawn. Um, but I do like the addition and I can't wait for a clip. Someone's gonna just make a window peek on a wall to try and make or take a shot, and I think I've already seen one, but like during competitive play where somebody jumps in their box because they opened a window and just hurdle it. I'm waiting for that one. That'll be fun. Um,
yeah.
what's your go-to POI right now?
Fencing fields, the mythic
Okay.
AR. Yeah, I land there every single game. I know that POI more than any POI. Um, I think it's the best AR in the game. I'm pretty sure a lot of people would agree. But I've only ever really landed fencing fields, and just yesterday I started landing at Grand Glacier, I think it's called.
Okay.
It's like during the in the snow area.
Yeah, all the way on the east.
Yeah, yeah, that POI. I landed there for the Zero Build Cup yesterday. But other than those two POIs, I literally don't really know anything that well. But fencing fields is definitely my number one right now.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense, especially if you're playing zero builds. The AR is like the most
Yeah.
powerful weapon that you can
If it
get.
was builds, I'd be landing snooty steps, of course. But or is it called snooty steps? I don't know what it's
Peter
called, but
Griffin's
yeah,
spot,
Peter
wherever that
Griffin,
is.
Peter Griffin POI, yeah. But for zero builds, definitely fencing fields.
I can respect that. It's a nice little addition. I wonder how long the like NPCs are gonna stay. Cause I feel like we always start with NPCs in a season, and then by the time we get towards the end, they're not in tournaments. But with the mythics in the game, I feel like that'll change something. I'm not sure. I like the addition of them. I do like non RNG like strong weapons because everyone then has the same thought process
Yeah,
to go to when you're deciding where to drop on a map. The only problem though is when you get into like actual set lobbies, only one team lands at a certain POI and then
yeah.
that's how it goes. But I don't know. That's a whole nother piece. What's kind of do you have any plans coming up? Like anything that you're working
Um,
towards?
Mainly right now, just starting up my YouTube. Um, like I said earlier, it's that's probably my next step for content creation. I'm heavily into TikTok already. I'm heavily into Twitch. I just need to get into YouTube. YouTube Shorts, YouTube videos. That's my main goal right now. But other than that, there's not really much going on. I mean, I don't know. There's no really events going on. I mean, when does FNCS start for builds? Have they announced that?
No, they said they'll mention something in January, I believe. They said it's duos
Yeah,
and then more info to come in January. So that's all we have right now.
yeah. I want to talk about something that not a lot of people have noticed
Okay.
because Phase Replays brought this up. In February, there's like a 2 week gap, like where there's no events going on. I think there's no events. I'm pretty sure Epic doesn't go on break during that time, do they?
No, they take the winter one around Christmas and the summer one around 4th of July.
Yeah. So this sounds crazy, but Replays pointed out that there's like a 2 week gap that he's pretty sure that there's going to be like a FNCS or something. And he brought up, what if they brought out like a mid-winter royale or something like that around that time? Because there's randomly just a 2 week, 3 week gap in February where there's nothing going on, and I'm pretty sure Epic doesn't take any breaks. I don't know if they have anything planned around that time, but it was just something cool to think about that I wanted to get your thoughts on.
Yeah, so normally FNCS starts end of February, beginning of March. So that would make sense. Typically, January, there's nothing because Epic does take their break between Christmas and New Year's, give themselves time, and then, okay, boom, competitive will start February, March, around that time frame. So that lines up. I believe I saw someone else mention that there's a gap, and it's a little earlier than I think it normally is because normally, like, last weekend of February is when FNCS starts ish. Sometimes it's like beginning of March, sometimes it's mid March. It all depends. But um, yeah, I'd be interested. I need to look at a calendar to see what exactly that gap is because if it's only 2 weeks, I'm not sure that's
Yeah,
enough.
I'm not sure if there's going to be anything going on, but it was just something interesting that he brought up. I mean, I don't know if they're going to plan any event around that time.
Do you
I don't think
play?
there's any like cash cups or anything around that time either. So
Do you
that's
play
just interesting to me.
FNCS?
Um, I didn't play the recent one because I wasn't. I was away. I was on vacation, but every once in a while, I like to get in it. For some content. I don't. I haven't taken an FNCS seriously since last summer. Um, I played it with Donnie. The
Okay.
guy. He played with Clicks. Donnie.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the last FNCS I've taken seriously. But other than that, I just play for fun.
Can respect that. I would play too. I try to, and then it never works out well. And also like I can't play if I wind up casting. I'm looking now though. The first 2 weeks of January, there's nothing. So I would guess that's too early for a.
What about February? Is there like a? I think he was talking about February. I know. I think in January they're going on a break, right?
That's probably what I'm looking at. But there's events on the 12th, 14th, 15th, 19th, 20th, and then I guess there is only Mix It Up Monday Cups for 2 weeks. So maybe that's.
Yeah, maybe that's what he was talking about. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that would make sense because I
That's
think,
weird though.
yeah,
Like only mix-up cups.
well,
Maybe
because
FNCS starting around that time. Who knows?
yeah, hey, you heard it here first. FNCS starts. What would that be? The 24th or the 17th? No, normally they start on Friday, so the day before, the 16th or the 23rd. One of those two. I don't know. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I hope it does start earlier. Actually, no, I don't because I'm a big football guy. I would much rather it start after the Super Bowl ends.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's Super Bowl. Yeah.
So yeah, that's. Did you get to play in the Streamer Bowl? Have you played in any of those?
No,
Damn.
not yet. I hope I get to play in the next one
Yeah,
if
let's
there is
get you in
one.
there.
But I mean, I played in a bunch of Twitch rivals. I even played in the last, not this year, but 2022, the Fortnite TwitchCon. That's where I
Okay,
got this sign right here from.
nice.
Um, but yeah, I mean, any events that Fortnite does is just amazing. Whether it's FNCS or Twitch rivals, any LAN events, they're always just amazing. Fortnite's the best game, hands down. And I also I know you said you're not the biggest zero builds guy, but do you think a zero builds FNCS would hurt the viewership, like on average, or
What do you mean? Like, would it hurt FNCS viewership? Because I don't see zero build FNCS getting the same numbers as build FNCS. If that's what you're asking.
yeah, no, for sure. I mean, do you think it's gonna affect like anything that has to do with builds, pretty much? I feel like it. I feel like it wouldn't. Basically, what I'm getting at is, would it be a good idea?
Um, personally, I don't think it would be, especially if it's like instead of a build FNCS. If there was a separate track, maybe. I don't think that helps viewership for anyone though to have like two FNCSs going on at once because then we already have like an oversaturation of Fortnite tournaments on a regular basis. So
Yeah.
I don't even know when tournaments happen anymore. I used to be pretty good keeping track of everything, but now it's like every single day there's something. Um, and if you have the two side by side, one, most viewership currently is builds, mostly because like Clicks and Mr. Savage,
Yeah.
Mongrel, like the
Mongrel.
big
Yeah.
dogs are playing builds. But then you also remove the potential for like a zero build audience if you're having them both run at the same time. I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel like if there was, I'm trying to think of like the best way for this, because I think zero build's important for Fortnite. I think it's like a really great way to carry people along the Fortnite funnel, and then the end
Yeah.
goal becoming like a competitive Fortnite player, regardless of if it's builds or zero builds. Because before zero builds, you would get into a game, you'd play against AI, and you would destroy them, and then you would actually compete against real players and you would get destroyed, and there was like a very low chance that you would be able to do well. But then zero builds allows you to get kind of the basics of Fortnite, understand how the game's played out without having to learn all the extra keys or buttons if you play on controller, and figure out how to build before you jump all the way into that. So it's like a nice slow funnel where you can learn, here's how we play Fortnite, and then now if I want to play builds, I can start learning builds because I already know the basics of the game. Um, so that's a long-winded answer of like, I don't think it would be good to have both of them, but I don't think it would be bad to have some sort of regular zero build track other than just like random victory cash cups for zero builds, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. I wonder if they were to bring some sort of FNCS zero builds, I wonder if a lot of the OG content creators would come back. You know, like Aiden and those type of guys. I wonder if they would compete those events. I feel like if they were to come back, you know, Nick Mercs, Ninja, those type of people, I feel like the hype around it would be a lot bigger. I'm not sure if they would. I mean, they don't really need to, obviously, but that's something that would be cool to see if that would have happened.
Yeah, I think the moment for that would have been when OG came out.
Yeah,
If they had like a 3 week long like zero build OG tournament, and they had like the one off tournaments, but they were filled with cheaters, and I'm sure
yeah.
those big pros, and or not pros, but big content creators don't want to be
Oh
asked
my
to
god,
waste
my
their
light
time.
just turned.
um, but I feel like that would have been the moment to do it, and so that kind of leads me to believe we're gonna see the same exact thing this, or well, in 2024 that we saw in 2023, where
Yeah,
it's zero build cash cups, the occasional third party tournaments, and then it's all just a matter of like, is DreamHack and Gamers 8 going to be builds or zero builds? Based on what just happened with Atlanta, it looks
yeah,
like maybe they're shifting back towards builds, but I also don't know if like Epic wants them to do zero build tournaments so it's not competing with FNCS, if that makes sense, because
yeah,
I don't know. It's also easier to run tournaments for zero builds versus builds if you're a tournament organizer.
yeah. I mean, I don't really know what's DreamHack's plans, obviously, but I feel like they're just gonna incorporate both. I mean, if anything, I feel like I don't know if it'd make it any more difficult to run like maybe 1 day builds, 1 day zero builds. I don't know if that'd make it any more difficult or not, but I mean, I genuinely was shocked when they announced Gamers 8 and three different DreamHacks that was zero builds. I didn't think it was gonna happen. I don't think anyone thought that was gonna happen.
No.
So, I mean, if anything, I think that means they're gonna do more zero builds eventually. But you know, who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen?
It, my guess would be the reason why they did that is either, there's two reasons. One is because they knew that they would have like server issues and bugs, because when you get stacked lobbies and not like FNCS set servers, because apparent, not apparently, when you watch, they are perform better than just like a regular custom game. Um, so maybe they didn't want to deal with that, and that's very understandable when you're throwing way over $2 million for everything else, you know, flying you guys out, the production, all that. So it's probably 3 to 5 million, I would guess, somewhere around there. You don't want the game to be riddled with issues. So it
Yeah,
could just be, all right, let's keep it simple. And then the other thing could be Epic probably not probably they could have also been like, hey, we will be more supportive if it's not competing against FNCS and like another $2 million tournament that is doing the same exact thing. So that could also be just like a little nudge nudge like, hey,
Oh, it definitely was.
yeah,
I'm pretty sure Epic did not want Gamers 8 to compete with FNCS because I've heard a lot of people say that they did not want Gamers 8 to have a bigger prize pool than Copenhagen because obviously it would draw more attention to the bigger prize pool.
yeah.
More money. It just sounds better to have a bigger prize pool. But I mean, I don't know. Esports World Cup. Who knows what's gonna happen? You know, maybe builds, maybe zero builds, both. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean 250K for each, like you could easily split that in half or like divide it any way you want. There's still plenty of money
Yeah,
for everyone to be happy. And it was 250K per dream hacks. That's a ton
yeah.
of
So
money.
750K, all
Yeah.
three DreamHacks. Yeah.
So they could figure it out. Well, Tax, I appreciate you jumping on. Why don't you go ahead and, as we wrap up, tell everyone what you got going on, where to find you, and how to support you.
Well, I'm Tax. Obviously, most of my social handles are Tax with two A's, like the sign behind me. But sometimes I have one A. Unfortunately, I can't have the original Tax. But live on Twitch every day. Post on TikTok every day. YouTube videos coming soon. And yeah, just grinding here every day. Zero builds content. Pretty much I do. And I hope to see some of you guys in the chat or comment sections wherever. And yeah, pretty much it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you for coming on. Do you post your TikToks on YouTube Shorts?
Well, the thing is, I post. Um, the YouTube Shorts has a limit of 1 minute, and
Ah,
yeah, I post videos. Typically, I post videos that are over 1 minute on TikTok because there's like a creative fund program, um, where basically you only make money if your videos are 1 minute or longer on TikTok.
mm-hmm.
So typically, I go for the 1 minute videos, but I'm gonna have to, figure something out there.
Yeah, you
It,
got
it's a struggle, but I'll figure it out.
it. Just cut it down a little bit. I don't know how
Yeah,
long they are, but it could just save you a bunch of time,
yeah,
expand your reach a little bit. That might be a good idea. But thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
and no
Always love
problem.
to chat and learn about new people. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem, man. It was a blast being here. Hey, make sure all you guys like, comment, subscribe.
You heard the man. And also, if you have any complaints or questions, you can DM me at somebody's gun on X. Appreciate you guys. Make sure to go check out Comp Awards FN on X as well. You can go to our website, find out some great information. I'm super excited, and thank you guys for listening. We will see you next time. Peace.